That night, Paul's young nephew, Marcus, heard a secret plan. Some men were hiding, waiting to hurt Paul. Marcus ran as fast as he could to the Roman fortress. He found the commander, Claudius Lysias, and whispered the dangerous secret. The commander realized he had to move Paul to safety right away, under the cover of night, protected by many soldiers. Paul was taken to a beautiful city by the sea called Caesarea. There, he stood before Governor Felix. Paul wasn't afraid to be in a palace. He spoke clearly about doing what is right and the promise of life with God. Felix listened closely, but he kept Paul waiting for a long time. Even in prison, Paul stayed strong, knowing that his journey was far from over. 2 years passed, and a new king named Agrippa came to visit. Paul was brought out to speak one more time. He wore heavy metal chains on his wrists, but his heart was free. He told King Agrippa such wonderful stories about Jesus that the king was amazed. Paul said, "I wish everyone could know the joy I have." Because Paul was a Roman citizen, he asked to go to Rome to see the emperor himself. Paul was put on a large wooden ship led by a centurion named Julius. As they sailed across the blue Mediterranean Sea, the winds began to blow harder. Paul warned the crew that a storm was coming, but the sailors wanted to keep going. Julius noticed that there was something very special about Paul, and he treated him with kindness as the sky began to turn dark and gray. A terrifying storm called a northeaster hit the ship. For many days, the sun and stars disappeared. The waves crashed over the wooden deck, and the sailors threw their heavy supplies into the ocean to stay afloat. Everyone was terrified, but Paul stood in the middle of the rocking ship and shouted, "Don't be afraid! An angel told me we will all be safe, though the ship will be lost." Suddenly, in the middle of the night, the ship hit a sandbar and began to break apart. "Jump into the water," Julius commanded. Those who could swim jumped in, and the others grabbed onto wooden planks and pieces of the ship. Just as Paul had promised, every single person, all 276 of them, reached the sandy shore of an island called Malta safely. Paul and his friend Luke huddled together, thankful to be alive. The people of Malta were very kind and built a big fire to warm the survivors. As Paul gathered a bundle of sticks for the flames, a poisonous snake crawled out and bit his hand. The islanders watched, worried he would get sick, but Paul simply shook the snake off into the fire. He was perfectly fine. The leader of the island, Publius, invited Paul to his home, where Paul prayed for and healed many sick people. After 3 months, Paul finally sailed into the harbor near Rome. As he walked toward the great city, he saw friends coming down the road to meet him. They were so happy to see him that Paul felt his courage grow even stronger. Even though he was still a prisoner, a Roman guard walked beside him not as an enemy, but as a companion on the final leg of his long trip. In Rome, Paul was allowed to live in his own rented house with a guard nearby. For 2 whole years, he welcomed everyone who knocked on his door. He told them about the kingdom of God and the story of Jesus. He also sat at his table with a young helper named Timothy, writing letters that would encourage people for thousands of years. Paul's adventure showed that no storm and no prison could ever stop the good news.